Hi guys, I made this design but I really don't like the color combination, so I'm going to change it, but I do love the design and it's nice and flexible and it's going to be a bracelet. So I'm going to use a different color combination and I'm going to go figure out which one I'm going to use. Okay guys, I pretty much figured it out. I'm going to use the galvanized silver 11O seed beads, the 15O seed beads opaque matte light mauve. These are Rulla beads, they're kind of a new bead. I'm going to use these. These are 2-hole opaque white and they come from Aura crystals, where most of my stuff comes from, as you can see. And I am going to use 35 pp, that's the size for these beads, Tanzanite chaton monties. These are the chatons, which means they're not flat backed, they have a pointy back, but you can also use the flat backs if you like. But I like these ones because they give a little bit of depth to the bead itself. So I'm going to redesign this now and I'm going to show you how I did it. You need wildfire because it is, as you can see, very flexible. But if you do this with fire line, it's going to be even more flexible to a point where you say, well, it's just not right, you know. So I already tried that with Fireline. It doesn't really work for me. So just make sure you got wildfire in the house, or a Fireline that is thick like wildfire, and this is size 0.06. I'm going to start with 2 arm spans of wildfire. And I'm going to run that through my wax. Still early in the morning, I'm still trying to get everything in my brain sorted out in English. So sometimes it's hard to just talk early in the morning. And I'm going to cut that last part off. There. You will need 2 needles. And I use John James size 10 needles, and it will be hard to get your wildfire in there, but it will also stay a little bit tighter in there. Now, first of all, we need a loop, and I'm going to start my loop with the size 11O seed beads, the galvanized silver. I'm going to put 6 beads on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so far I just have 1 needle on my thread. I'm going to take this all the way to the middle, and I'm going to pick up my end till for that, and just roll your thread down your hands all the way to the middle, and then make sure that those beads are in the middle of your thread, and kind of keep them there. Grab your needle and get your threads out of each other before they start tangling. And now I'm going to go through all these 6 beads again. And now I'm going to tie a knot. And I'm going to go through 2 and 2 more, and pulling that knot into the beads. So this is basically my 3rd time that I go around, and I'm going to go into my first bead, so that the threads come out on both sides like that. I need 1 more 11O, and I'm going to use the opaque matte light rose for that. Next we're going to pick up 2 11/0s of the Opaque Matte Light Rose. Take that down the needle. Next thing is I'm going to pick up 3 galvanized silvers, 1 Opaque Matte Light Rose, and I'm going to pull that through. And then I'm going to go through 3, so not 4, I'm going to go through 3, the silver ones, and pull that tight, like that. And then on the other side I'm going to pick up 3 galvanized silver. I'm going to go into this Opaque Matte Light Rose, so let me just call it Rose, make that easier for myself. Pull that through, and now go up in 3 galvanized silvers, right there. And now you can see that these are coming together. Just kind of pull them tight. Next we're going to add the Monty, the Swarovski Monty. And what you need to do is that little Monty needs to go like that, right there in the middle. So we need to cross over, and we're going to cross over, and you have to have 4 holes in on each side of your Monty for that. We're going to cross over in a bottom part, and you got to make sure that when you turn it, that you got it like that, okay? Because you don't want the bead to look any other, you don't want the bead to be turned around. So you can't go in here, you can't go into these 2, because if you would take the bottom holes, you won't be turning your Monty around. So you gotta, if you hold it on your back, go through the top 2 holes like that, and then just pull that through. And now you're going to take your other needle, your left needle, and you're going to go through those same 2 holes that you just went through with your right needle. Now these Monties, they have like a really sharp edge, so to protect that, to protect your thread, we're going to pick up the galvanized that's on the side right there. Now your thread will be protected by the hole by the galvanized. Do that also on the other side. Okay. Now in this design I didn't give my Rulla a lot of space, so what I want to do is add a 15/0 in between there and see how that looks. So I'm picking up a 15/0 and I'm going into my Rulla and I'm going to pick up a 15/0 and a galvanized silver and another 15/0, and I'm going back in my Rulla. And I'm going to pick up a 15/0 and a galvanized silver, because basically now I'm mimicking what is here already. So I'm going into those top 2 holes of the Chateau Monty. So pulling that through, and I enjoy the fact that I got a little bit more space now. Now you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So that's putting that thread out of my way. I'm going to pick up, well, that's going to go on the left side. This is now my left thread. So for the next sequence, so I'm picking up a 15/0 and a Rulla. And pull that down. Then I'm going to pick up a 15-0, galvanized silver 11-0, and another 15-0. And I'm going back in that other hole of the Rulla, right there. And I'm picking up a 15-0 and an 11-0. And I'm going into those top two holes, and I'm going to push it through into the silver one already. Like that. The silver one that's on the other side. I'm going to pull that tight, and I'm also going to pick up the other side and go into that 11-0 right there. So that both threads are now coming out of the 11 O's. I'm going to put the needles aside. Yeah, it's very complicated, but I'm going to put the needles aside. I'm going to start with my right thread. The next step is I'm going to pick up 2 silver and a rose, and I'm going to go back in that silver that's above the Monty, and I'm going to go up 2 more in the silver, like that. Then I'm going to take my other thread and do the same thing. And I wish I was left and right-handed now. I'm going to pick up 2 silver, but instead of picking up the rose, I'm going to go into this rose and picking up that silver. And now you're going to make sure that everything is really tight. Everything comes together. And pick up these 2 silvers. Put it down again. And get your Monty and cross both threads in that Monty. So that's when you have that on your back, that's the top 2 holes that you're crossing into. So crossing in there. I'm trying to be careful that my thread doesn't tangle, but you have less problems with that when you use wildfire. And now we're going back into that silver that's underneath it right there. And with the other needle, we're going through that silver right there. And make sure that everything is really tight. And again, we start off with one 15-0, adding a Rulla, 15-0, 11-0, and 15-0, with silver in between, 11-0, and going back in that Rulla right there, and pull that through. And now we're going to add a 15-0 and an 11-0. And we're going into those 2 top holes right there. And we're going to make sure that everything is really tight like that. And now we're going to do the other side the same way. Pick up a 15-0, a Rulla. Grinds a little bit much if you do the 15-0, 11-0, 15-0 right after that, so I'm pulling it down. 15-0, 11-0, 15-0. into the ruler, picking up a 15-0 and an 11-0, and crossing to the other side, going into that 11-0 after that. And then we need our other needle to also go into that 11-0 right there. And I pull everything tight so everything is straight. Make sure you see no extensive thread. There. And then you start all over again. And it's a little complicated to work with two threads, but it's impossible to do it with one because you need to connect the Monty, so else it would be easier maybe. But yeah, so picking up on the right side the two 11-0 silvers plus the rose, going back in there and going up 2 silvers. Doing the same on the other side, picking up 2 silvers, but not picking up a rose, because I'm going into that rose and I'm going into that silver. And I'm going up those 2 silvers. And I'm twisting the project around a little bit because I'm trying not to get in the way of my other thread. And that is a challenge. Okay, and now we're going to cross in that Monty again. And when we cross there, we're going to go into that silver that's underneath it. And I like to do them both one by one. Of course you can put the ruler on right now, but what I'm afraid of is that I will forget to go through this silver. So when I go through one silver, I'm going to go through the other silver. It will take a little bit longer, but in the end I made sure that everything is okay. And I really love the way that looks. It's beautiful, very elegant, very, I don't know, avant-garde maybe? It's not Art Deco, but it's certainly something. Okay, so picking up that 15-0 again, and then my ruler, pulling that down, and then 15-0, 11-0 silver, and 15-0 going into that ruler, picking up a 15-0 and an 11-0, going into those top 2 holes of the Monty, pulling that through. And I did try, because you have to go through another silver, I did try putting that other silver on there already, but then, you know, my threads all got tangled up, so I'm not going to do that. I'll just take that extra step and do that later. So now on this side, 15-0 ruler, pull that down, and of course the less you damage your thread is always the better. So 15-0, 11-0, 15-0 in there, picking up 15-0 and 11-0, and now going into the Monty plus the silver. And now I'm just going to pick up the other one, the other silver with the other thread. I know it's a confusing one, and that's why it's an advanced one. It may look easy, but it's not. I'm just going to pull everything really tight. And I'm starting again on the right side. And when you start on the right side, you pick up 2 silver and 1 rose. And you go around in the silver. And up 2 silvers. And then you're going to pick up the other one. And you might as well do it on the back. Might be easier. Pick up 2 silvers. Into that rose. And into that silver. And up 2 silvers. And turn that back to cross in that Monty. Picking up, putting it on the back so it's easier for me to remember. I'm putting it on the back. I need the top 2 in this case right there. Pulling that through. And getting my other thread and going in from the other direction, pulling it through. And there. And now you just start all over again. Don't forget to pick up the silver. So let's do it one more time together. Pick up the silver that's underneath the Monty. And just in case you don't forget, do the other one. I know it's going to take a little bit longer, but you're going to be so sorry if you forget to do one. And you can easily miss it. I've did it. Making this design, I've did it. I skipped it a couple of times. Pull everything really tight so that your rulers are nice and straight. And it's absolutely stunning. I'm sorry, I'm just admiring my own design. Okay, well, picking up another 15-0 and a ruler, pull that down. 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, going through there. And I'm not too worried about pulling this tight because when I go back through the Monty into the silvers, I can pull it tight after that. Picking up a 15-0 and a silver, going to the other side. And now I'm going to do the other side, picking up the left thread. And I'm just going to do that on the back, it's easier. Picking up a 15-0, get the ruler through there. 15-0, 11-0, 15-0. In there. 15-0, 11-0. Back in the top holes. And in that silver one. That's right next to it. And now we're going to pick up the other thread again. And what I always do is when I see that the thread is kind of around that, you know, like twisted, I'm going to go back in there underneath. And then make sure that that thread has enough space so it's not twisted in there. And, you know, just little things, you know, to perfectionize it. I will always be that kind of anal. So, that's it. I got 4 on there, and now you just need to make it as long as it will fit. And don't forget that you're still going to get a loop here, a jump ring here, and a clasp on the other side. So, and it's really flexible. You can almost use it as a ring, but it's not as pretty as a ring as it is as a bracelet. So, well, I hope you guys understand that. I think I've explained it like 3 times enough. So I think you can do it now. If it's still a little bit confusing, you know, go back in the video a couple of steps and just pick that up again. And just make it as long as you want for your wrist. And then I will show you how to add the clasp. Now, when you get to the end, I have put 22 sets on here, which is actually too big for me. But I decided to start selling in an Etsy shop all the stuff that I make on YouTube. So if you want to know where that Etsy shop is, I will leave a link underneath the video. But right now we need to finish this up, and basically what you do is you mimic what you have on that side. So if you see correctly, we got another loop, and so let's go make that loop. 1, 2, 3. Go up 2. So that's basically still the way that things were going. That's my dog is snorking in the background. Okay, so we got this, and now instead of adding the Monty, you're going to add 2 rows. So let's pick up 2 rows. Picking up 2 rows, 1, 2. I got 2 rows now. And then we're going to cross it in a silver seed bead, galvanized silver. And now we got the loop, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more seed beads. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going around. Going around again. And I got a little bit of space, but as soon as I get this second one around, I will pull that tight. So pulling everything tight now. So now I got no more space, and then I'm going to go around with the other thread one more time. So that's like the 3rd time I'm going around now. Coming out of that middle one again. And now I'm going to work my way down so I can meet up with my thread somewhere where the make sure that that's tight. I just noticed I had some loose thread there. So I'm now going to go down with my right thread, and I'm going to go to this tensionite underneath the silver where I can meet up with my other thread and tie a knot. So I'm going to go into the rows and the 3 silver. That's 3. I'm going into the Monty, into the silver, into the 15-0 and the Rulla. So basically you're just going back on your steps. I'm going to go through these 3 in there and into the 15-0 and the silver and into the tanzanite Monty and into that silver. And I can pick up my other needle, and I'm going to go the same way, but only now with the thread on the other side, or the needle on the other side. I'm going to go through the rows and the 3 galvanized silver. And I'm going to come up out of that silver because it's very hard to go through that Monty in a straight line when you're out of that, in that silver. Got a little knot in my thread, but it's okay. I'm going into the Monty now, if I can find the hole. And if not, all you have to do is just kind of stick back and see if it's easier to find like this, which it is. Here's the hole. Or the holes. It's just not one hole. Into the silver. Into that 15-0. And the Rulla 15-0. Eleven 0, 15-0, Rulla 15-0, and now your thread speed up. So it's time for double knot. And just work that thread away. Going into the silver. Going down in the rows. Into the silver. And I'm just going to cut it off there. I got that knot pulled in there pretty good. Well, I'm going to go to the back first. And that will pull it easier. I don't want to cut through my thread of my Monty. There. That's one. And I'm going, if possible, back up the 15-0, but I don't want to kill it. I'm afraid that I might damage it. So going back in that same 11-0, I don't want to break that 15-0. There. Going down that rows again, and just going to the other side now. Going down and cutting that off. There. And you have one very pretty avant-garde looking like bracelet. So now let's add the clasp. Now what do you need for the clasp? You will need 2 seed bead size 11-0 and a head pin, and what would be nice would be like a 3 or 4 millimeter tanzanite, but I don't have that, so I'm going to use a pearl instead. First I'm going to put my seed bead size 11 on, put my pearl on, put my size 11 on, and make a loop. And the seed beads are to protect the pearl from damaging just in case you're wondering. I'm gonna make a little bit of a loop. Now you need a little bit of extension cord. I always like to do 3 with bracelets. Put that on there, close the loop up. Then you need a ring, of course, a jump ring. Open that up, put that extension cord on there, and there you go. Put it on the loop of your bracelet. Close that up, and what I like to do is I like to make that an oval shape. When I see that it's closed up good, I like to just kind of pinch it, and it goes a little bit of oval. But if I pinch it, I'm pretty sure that never opens up again. So that's something that I like to do. And it won't leave it with a little bit of a more oval shape, but I'm good with that. I'd rather have it not be round than somebody saying I lost my clasp a week later. Now we're gonna add the jump ring and the lobster clasp on the other side. Into the loop. And same story here. I like to make that close up really good. And there you have it. Now you got a beautiful bracelet, I think it's kind of avant-garde style. And if you want, you can of course make another row right next to it. And you can even, I think, use it as a necklace, because as you can see, it's still flexible. So if you can figure out a way to make that into a necklace, that would actually be pretty awesome. You can do 2 rows next to each other, but the chatons are very expensive, especially these PP ones. The flat backs are a little bit cheaper, but yeah, you can do 2 rows or 3 rows and just connect with the silver seed bead. Let me see how wide that is, or how long that is. That's about 18 centimeters, a little bit over 18 centimeters, 19 centimeters. I'm going 18 centimeters for the size of this bracelet. So I'm measuring because I'm going to put it up in my Etsy shop, and somebody might want to buy it, and then they of course need to know the size to see if they fit it. And because there are people here that like to watch these videos but don't like to bead at all themselves. So I had plenty of comments that people want to buy something that I make but not recreate it. It takes too much time and effort, but they really love watching the videos. So therefore, yes, if you want to go to my Etsy shop, go underneath the video. There will be a link there. And other than that, guys, I hope to see you next time. Bye!